Hello YouTubers, Grumpy Old Man and Smitty here for another story. Yesterday was his 90th and we had a good gathering out, and one of the things I offered him was a new belt. Says he doesn't want a new belt. He's got a good collection, as he should. And when I'm doing a show and we talk about my belts, I tell people they're a lifetime guarantee on them. I've been making belts as a business for 22 years, but I made my first belt in grade 7. And then I tell them, my father's wearing it, still. Because we buried him in it. And they go, I'm sorry. And then I go, yeah, the hard part was getting him to stop throwing the dirt out of the hole. Gotta love messing with people's minds. So I offered him a new belt. You know, he got one of the belts I brought back from Ireland what are we at here, 18, 19 years ago. Didn't want one. Well, I gave him a belt buckle. It's you can't see it from there. We'll have to tilt her down a little bit. All right. Got some Celtic horses on it. So he's got a new belt buckle in his collection. But he talked about a belt he can still wear that he made when he was 20. In preparation of a new job. So tell us about that one.
Yeah, well, had been down to the U.S. and picked up a half a dozen belt buckles for $5 a piece, and brought them back, and I made up a half a dozen belts, and I sold 4 of them for $10 a piece to pay for material and travel, and I kept a pair, and I still have one of those belts that I can still wear it. Now I've had to punch a couple extra holes into it, but I can still put that belt on, and it's still serviceable, and it still looks good.
Now that belt has some medallions attached to it. Is that the one?
Yep.
So what were those medallions for?
Safe Driving Awards for 1 year accident-free driving for Department of Highways. Yeah.
And you drove
snowplow in the wintertime, and basically a tractor mowing machine in the summertime. Yeah.
And you also drove the paint. You worked on the paint crews.
I worked on the paint crew, but I didn't drive the truck or I didn't do the painting. Yeah,
Okay.
I was one of the premier laborers that they needed grunt people on that job, and by that time I had quit operating the machinery for them, and I was quite satisfied with what I was doing.
So the paint came in big 45-gallon drums on the back of the truck, and you'd have to change the hose that sucked them out from one to the next?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We loaded did the grunt work. We loaded the paint into the paint striper truck. We loaded the glass bead onto the striper truck.
What's the glass bead for?
That's the reflective that you see on the lines on the highway.
So they put some glass bead down after it's painted.
Right on top of the paint, yeah.
On the fresh paint.
It's activated with an air pressure that activates the gun that puts the paint on.
Right.
And
so
it
two at once.
It hits that paint 3 inches after the paint hits the pavement. Okay. Yeah.
Now, we once had a cutter, and for those of you who don't know what a cutter is, it's a small sleigh. 2 people would sit in it. And you picked one up years ago. We were still living in Cumberland. Do you remember rebuilding that cutter? Or you got somebody to put a new back on it?
I think I got somebody else to put a back on it.
Put the back on it. Because I remember we painted the back of that sleigh and put glass beads on the paint.
Yeah.
To make the whole back of the sleigh retro-reflective if somebody drove up behind it in the dark.
Yeah.
That's when so we're looking at mid-70s. Because we moved into that house in 70 or 69, 70 or 71.
Started on the highway in 61.
Yeah, but the house opposite the school on Market Street. We moved in there in 70.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was probably
it
after
was,
you-
It was, yeah,
soon
70,
before you
71,
retired.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when I remember being introduced to the glass beads. I thought that was pretty neat. We did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another one of Smitty's stories about his belt primarily and how it segued into another story. So it's like a good quality belt will last you
Oh,
70 years now.
hey, take a look at that old saddle, 200 and some years old.
That
Still
story,
the same
don't get ahead of
leather
yourself. That story's coming up. We're
Yeah.
going to film that probably on Tuesday. And we're going to talk about that antique saddle that we have. So stay tuned for that. Just a teaser to get people to subscribe. Catch you later, folks. Thanks.